Hi everyone, I am Adolfo Neto, a professor at the Federal University of Technology, Paraná, and this is the Professor Adolfo Neto podcast. In this podcast, I interview professionals from the field of computing and related areas. Today, I'm delighted to have Eduardo Borsa on the show. Eduardo is a senior software engineer at Loomis, Sayles Company, with over 7 years of experience. According to his profile, he's a Brazilian programmer, deeply passionate about Elixir, specializing in crafting robust, scalable, and fault-tolerant systems. Eduardo is well-versed in Elixir, Phoenix, and distributed systems. Eduardo, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Adolfo. Thanks for having me. Yep, let's see where it goes.
Okay, Eduardo, so you are my first interviewee in this version of the podcast, which is in English, which I have met in person before this recording this interview, because you also live here in Curitiba, Brazil. And let's get to know you a bit better. What sparked your interest in software engineering?
So the first time I actually started coding anything, I was like 17, and I was willing to try to get those trading bots to work. I was playing with foreign exchange futures, and but soon realized that it was way more complicated for someone that never actually had any introduction to computer science. And soon enough, I discovered that like putting every single thing everything aligned after logic in your code in a single file without structure or without any like guidance was pretty hard. So I kind of dropped really fast. And this like kind of like ignite the fire for me to look for graduation in computer science and computer engineering and something like that. So yeah, that was pretty much my first experience.
And did you get a degree in computer science?
Actually, back then I applied for economics. Then I dropped out. I started computer engineering. I did all the programming classes. There was just like electronic subjects related classes. But then I said, hey, I don't want to do anything related to electronics, so I just like dropped again engineering and stayed and finished computer science. So I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from like the Pontifícia Universidade Católica here from Curitiba.
Okay, that's great. I know many people who have a degree from PUC-PR or PUC-PR in Portuguese. And when did you first become involved in the world of software development? You already mentioned a little bit about that, but particularly related to Elixir, the programming language created by José Valim.
Got it. So I think I was in maybe the second year. I'm not sure if it was between the first year or second year of the university. Back then, like it was way more popular, those meetups, the app meetup where like you pretty much go to any of these events. It was one event in that commercial building from the Phi University. Kelvin Stinker, that's his name. Like he's normally one of the guys that always presented something there. He was doing like some introduction to Phoenix framework. He did like a very basic CRUD with generators and like piped some information, and that kind of hooked me a lot because I think I was in the first year of university, and the project for the introduction to programming that I was doing, it was in C++. It was like create a library, so pretty much a CRUD event with like adding brutes and stuff like that. And it took me quite some time to generate the CRUD, and he just generated the entire CRUD. I was like, damn, like it took me, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get this thing working, and he did it with like, I don't know, 10 seconds. That hooked me up. A lot, yeah. So.
It was something related to soccer, the example from Kelvin. If it was the Elixir meetup and it was a talk by Kelvin Stingen, I believe I was there, but maybe he gave another talk. But it was, you said it was at PipeFi, right?
No, it was. I don't know. I don't think it was at PipeFi. There was other ones at PipeFi, but this first one that I first met him, it was just on that like Phi has that building with a bunch of co-working spaces. I think it was like something 66 back then. It was like they rented the place, and I'm not really sure like what company was hosting, but it was the first one was not Pipefy, but I've been to other ones from Pipefy that he also gave some talks. But yeah.
Oh, okay. That's not a problem. So that's fascinating. And now let's tell a little bit about your role at Loomis Sayles Company. What projects are you currently working on, and what technologies do you find most exciting or challenging in your day-to-day work?
So, kind of unfortunately for this podcast, at least, right now I'm not working with Elixir. This last project that I'm working on, the previous one, was in C#. Even though Loomis, they have like a bunch of Elixir projects, it's not a Elixir only shop there. So actually, they work with finance. So my team, which is responsible for a bunch of microservices inside the company, they use all kinds of technologies. Like there's Elixir, there's Erlang, but there's Java, C#, JavaScript, Python. So I don't know, maybe some other languages, but yeah, plenty of projects to work on. So it's been a while. So I don't know how much would be interesting for this podcast, because like I've come back to C# just like 2 months now, and I'm like getting up to speed again. I started my career in C#, but it's been a long time since I actually last coded in. So I'm getting like how to get unit tests working, how to do integration testing, how telemetry works, like all these things that pretty much from Elixir, but like I'm still getting used to doing the same thing with C#. So most of the difficulties right now are related to just the C# stack. But let me see something about Elixir that was challenging here.
No, you can. This podcast is not exclusively about Elixir, so you can talk about your difficulties related to C#, because as we talked about with Gustavo and maybe Rickson too, it's not always easy for people to find a job in Elixir. So you have to be flexible. You have to work for companies that pay you a salary, not say, oh, I only work in Elixir and then I'm going to stay unemployed.
Maybe just something to bring up. I know some Elixir developers that really loved so much language that they are not willing anymore to work in anything besides Elixir, unless like all the money's gone and everything else. But like, hey, I'm just gonna get another role in like, go back to Ruby. That's the default language from everyone from Elixir. But if there are no roles in Elixir, and that's for sure not my case. Like I think there are like use cases for every language out there and every single stack. But so let me get like maybe from the difficulties I'm facing with C#. I shifted my career entirely towards Elixir for the past 5 years, and getting back to it, I would say that the threshold for understanding like good C# code takes a while, because C# and Java are way more boilerplate oriented language than Elixir. So getting all the patterns and getting all the proper dependency injection, all getting your code to be like idiomatic on C# looks like for me that's way more challenging than getting Elixir. Like even though I'm not bragging about it, but I have a role of senior engineering, and it's quite challenging for me to get like Elixir C# idiomatic code. So even though sometimes I get the feature to work, I often feel like, it's working, but I would be ashamed showing this to a senior C# developer. And I would say, for getting me to the structure to get the code idiomatic, it requires like way more tweaking than I would say it requires for Elixir, because you can maybe think about like the design patterns, Gang of 4, and like there are some books really created towards like getting the same thing in C#. For Elixir, most of these patterns, I don't know, because of the functional paradigm of the language or because how it was structured, most of them doesn't make sense at all. So I've kind of like lost the familiarity with these patterns, so I have to like revisit them and understand why they are necessary. And that's something that C#, since it's like it's a way older language and way more like it's on the market like way more spread than Elixir. for you to build like software that is that has the quality that you're expecting for a contractor, for someone in my role, it requires like way more reading, way more studying, way more like iterations than let's say like Elixir, because like again it's newer. I think paradigm, the Elixir, the functional programming makes things way more explicit. I don't know. I'm still facing a little. It's a little challenging for me to get it like proper C# idiomatic code, and that's the thing that's been challenging more currently in this position.
Okay, great point. And now let's talk about ELXPRO, just because I believe it was through ELXPRO that I first got to know you. You recorded, I believe, some videos for the ELXPRO YouTube channel. I'm not sure if also for the ELXPRO course. And you are someone deeply involved in the practical aspects of software development. And how do you see the intersection of industry work, what are you doing in your day-to-day job, and education, like education initiatives like ELXPRO? Has your experience with ELXPRO influenced your approach to your current role, although it's not an Elixir role, but does it have any influence on it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just provide some context. Like I'm a friend of Gustavo even before he launched the ELXPRO course. Actually, I was the first student. I used to watch his YouTube channel even before he launched the course. I don't know if those videos are still in his channel. I believe they are not, because I think it was prior to Phoenix 1.3, so a long time ago. The reason why I reached out to Gustavo and I met him, if he's my personal friend nowadays, was because I applied for this German Colombian company. I was facing some issues with Docker, and I couldn't solve like them. It was like something really dummy. I needed like some network side Docker to connect to the database that also was running on top of Docker, and I was not being able to connect it with Docker Compose. And Gustavo was like, hey, for sure, let me help you. He joined me, like, helped me like in 5 minutes and say, oh, you're just putting the wrong network there, and it solved the problem. But yeah, man, like I do believe that this relationship between like education and industry is really important, not just because of Elixir, but I think it promotes something that's really important for the adoption of any language. That is like how new developers are gonna approach and start using the language. So I don't think that like the success of a language is pretty much like just relying on performance or like how well it is structured in a certain field, but it requires like marketing, it requires people talking about it, requires people exposing and getting like more developers to look at it. So creating educational content helps not just these developers to start to use Elixir, but how they're gonna grow from like these junior roles into some more senior roles, and how like where they can look for information. So I like getting to the point like comparing like the lessons that I learned from ELXPRO and Gustavo, my current role. I would say like the ELXPRO course, they're really like focus on getting this code well structured, well deployed with a lot of metrics. So something that, even though like I'm not coding Elixir, like Gustavo, I think I don't know how the code is nowadays, but the first time when I watched it, like one of the very first project he was structuring like linting, unit testing, deployment, getting all the CI/CD pipeline working, like in the very beginning of the project. So that's something that I kind of like got more hooked because of him. And I bring this knowledge, even though like it's a common practice for pretty much every international project. Like that's something that I'm bringing now to C#. Like get all the unit tests passing, I don't have a link at the moment. Maybe I should look more for some CI actions. But like this, getting the good quality software to be deployed and how can you like see how it behaves in production is something that ELXPRO was one that like kind of hooked me up, and that's something that I still bring this for pretty much any project that I currently use in my developer career.
That's great. So let me talk to our audience here that, by the way, if you want to learn Elixir, I have a partnership with ELXPRO, and you can check out my affiliate link in the episode description. This way you can learn Elixir and also help this podcast. The link is in the screen, but it's also going to be in the episode description. So now I have a more general question, which is, so one major point in our career, I believe nowadays it's true for any career, but okay, let's talk about our career, computer science, is that things get, something that you learned 10 years ago might not be useful today. So how do you stay updated with the news in your field, with what's happening, the new languages, the new frameworks, etc.? Do you read books? Do you go to blog posts? Are you on social networks? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you watch YouTube videos? Do you buy online courses or even in-person courses? How do you stay updated, and what do you prefer?
Got it. Okay, so nowadays, pretty much like the two main languages that I'm working is that I like the most is Elixir, and the one that I'm working is C#. So for the Elixir language, I think I follow all the podcasts out there, the Elixir Mix, Think Elixir, Elixir Wizards, your podcast, and I don't know, I've also been subscribed to the Elixir Weekly. There's one from Uno, but Uno is I forgot. There's another
Elixir Roundtable.
No, I think it's another one.
Changelog.
The one that from the Elixir Patterns book. He also has a newsletter. Anyway,
yes, Elixir Radar. Elixir Radar.
That's the one. So I think I for the Elixir content, I'm subscribing pretty much everything. For the C# role, so I kind of have to get back to it, and I don't have someone at the company that can really instruct me on get this graceful, good, C# code. So at the moment, I bought a course from a website called Domitrain. It's for the C# based course. I still haven't started reading books related to topic because I want to, before getting something really deep as a book, I want to explore and get my hands dirty. So I have a book that I'm planning to, let me see if I can get over here. There's a book I'm planning to read after I finish some unit test course that I'm taking. Let me see if I can get it here. Just a second. There's an author that I saw in another podcast. Yeah, man, I thought I had saved here, but I did not. Anyhow, the other book that
you can send me the link later.
Cool. Yeah, so this book that I want to start reading for C#, I heard in another C# podcast called, I think it's Eat the Blocks, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, I the way I get up to date in pretty much in language is consuming content. I like to go for walks and running sometimes, so I always listen to some podcasts. I'm not listening to music anymore. I think it helped me, even though it's more relaxing, I kind of why not use this time to start learning something else? But yeah, man, I think I consume pretty much every type of media related to computer science. So yeah, I don't have a preference. I think there are stages in life where how you I don't know how good would be for me to just stay with a podcast and never get a book. How good it'd be for me watch a bunch of courses and never put a product in production. So I think they're eating consuming a little bit of every single media and adapting towards the how can I say, how good you start becoming in language is the way to go. There's no real right way or wrong way of how to get this consuming this media.
Great. Yes, I love to say that Elixir is well served in that we have lots of podcasts. There are some people producing videos. There are video courses like the one from Gustavo, but there are others. Books, there are many books on pragmatic programmers bookshelf. And there's also maybe the most famous book in the Elixir community is the one by Sasha Yurik, which is it's not in PragProg, it's another company, another book publisher, not another book publisher. So we also have conferences. There are great conferences in the Elixir community. Elixir Conf is going to happen ElixirConf EU is going to happen in Portugal this year. There is ElixirConf usually in the US, and also CodeBeam America, CodeBeam Europe, many options. So if you want to learn Elixir, if you want to be a part of the Elixir community, there are plenty of options for you.
Let's hope that there will be the next Elixir Brazil conference, like the last was, I think it was 2019 in São Paulo in the Nubank. It was at Nubank, right?
Yes, last time it was Nubank. The first edition was at what's that company that provides web services, but I don't remember. I never remember the name, but it's very famous here in Brazil. But it was a very small, but a rather small edition, only one day, and then we had that big conference in the Nubank headquarters.
There was one last year as well, that you were part of the people that like got it together. It was not in the North Brazil. There was a conference back last year.
Yes, so in-person conference in Brazil, we only had the Elixir Brazil 2018, Elixir Brazil 2019. Then there was the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, the only in-person conference related to Elixir, Erlang, or Debian was the Elixir Fortaleza Conf in Fortaleza in 2023, which I organized with the great people from Elixir and the people from Pará, and also the Federal University of Ceará. Many people helped me, but I was the main organizer. Okay. So let's hope we have I would love to have an in-person event related to Elixir in São Paulo, because São Paulo is close to Curitiba, and it's a city where many people from several states can attend. Even people from other countries can come to give a talk or can come to watch the talk. So let's hope it happens. I'm pretty optimistic that something like that will happen in 2024. So thank you, Eduardo, for sharing your experience and insights. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I think thanks for inviting me. Yeah, I think like getting this kind of work out there, it's very important. For, of course, like that was mentioned, marketing is the soul of like how to get new developers. So yes, please keep at it, and let's see where this podcast goes. And wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you again, Eduardo, and a big thank you to all our listeners for joining us today. We appreciate your time and attention. Until next time, goodbye.
Take care, bye.
If you are curious and ready to take your Elixir language skills to the next level, check out my affiliate link to the ELXPRO course in the episode description.